The galaxy was old and full of empires. Star nations rose and fell like dust in light. Most species fought for land, power, and survival. The Galactic Empire was the strongest of them all. They ruled thousands of systems with iron fleets. They believed no force could resist them. Far from their golden core worlds lived a small alien race called the Selari. They were peaceful and quiet. They lived on a blue-white world named Letharis. Their cities floated above glowing oceans. Their towers sang with energy. They never built weapons for war. They trusted the Empire's protection. Commander Ralven was Selari. A scout officer. Young. Loyal. Curious. He studied stars and borders for the Empire. He believed knowledge saved worlds. He believed the Empire kept order. He was wrong. The war came without warning. A rival faction attacked from dark space. Ships like knives. Weapons like burning suns. They did not ask for surrender. They erased. Letharis burned in one night. Orbital shields shattered in seconds. Selari cities fell like glass. Oceans boiled under plasma storms. Ralven watched from his scout vessel. Too far to help. Too weak to fight. Imperial fleets never arrived. No rescue. No defense. No reply to Selari distress calls. Silence filled the void. Ralven understood the truth slowly. The Empire had abandoned them. Letharis was a minor world. Not worth saving. A sacrifice for bigger wars. He felt the pain like a blade inside his chest. His people screamed across the emergency channels. Then the channels went dead. One by one. Millions of voices gone. He drifted alone above the ashes of his home. Smoke covered the planet. No lights remained. No life signs. Only broken satellites and burning debris. The Empire sent a final message hours later. Cold. Official. Letharis marked as lost territory. No memorial. No anger. Just erased from records. Ralven shut down the transmission. His hands trembled. His eyes stayed on the dying world. The Selari had trusted strength. Strength had betrayed them. He fled. Not from fear. From emptiness. There was nothing left behind him. His damaged ship jumped blindly across outer sectors. Weeks passed in silent travel. He avoided Empire patrol routes. Avoided war zones. Avoided everything that reminded him of Letharis. He became a ghost in forgotten space. One cycle later his sensors detected strange beacons. Old. Quiet. Repeating. They floated in a region marked off in ancient maps. A dead zone. Imperial archives called it useless territory. Unclaimed. Ignored. But the beacons were not random. They formed a boundary. A line in space. Ralven scanned deeper. Warning symbols appeared in lost languages. One translation survived in Imperial code. Terran restricted space. Do not enter. Ralven had heard the word once before. Terrans. Humans. A minor species from a distant yellow star. Weak. Young. Barely known. The Empire considered them harmless. Yet their warning markers stretched across dozens of systems. No Empire ships crossed that border. No trade routes passed through. No data explained why. Curiosity replaced grief for a moment. Why would a weak species control so much empty space? Why did even the Empire avoid it? Ralven zoomed his sensors further. Beyond the beacon line. What he saw froze him. Wreckage. Imperial scout holes. Broken war drones. Ships from several species. All torn apart. All drifting just past the invisible border. No battle signs. No weapon traces. Just clean destruction. As if space itself had crushed them. His ship drifted closer by accident. Alarms screamed. Navigation failed. A new signal locked onto him from the darkness ahead. Something had noticed him. Something inside Terran space. Ralven's engines stalled as the unknown force pulled him forward. The beacons behind him faded. The wreckage surrounded him like a graveyard. Then his screens went black. And the last coordinates recorded were deep inside the forbidden zone. The Imperial fleet arrived like a storm. Dozens of scout cruisers. 3 war carriers. Cold metal filled the edge of Terran space. They came searching for their lost ships. For Commander Ralven. For answers they believed humans could never hide. Their sensors saw nothing at first. No ships. No stations. Only quiet beacons drifting in perfect lines. Imperial commanders laughed in their reports. Terran warnings again. Primitive fear tactics. Empty space pretending to be guarded. They crossed the border. Everything changed. The stars bent. Space twisted like liquid. Imperial navigation collapsed instantly. Warp cores overloaded. Targeting systems lost reality itself. Terran defenses did not fire weapons. They rewrote the battlefield. Ralven watched from the Terran shell as the fleet struggled. His scanners now linked to Terran systems. He could see what the Empire could not. Invisible gravitational walls crushed entire cruisers. Not explosions. Silent pressure. Ships folded inward like paper. Imperial carriers tried to launch fighters. The fighters vanished mid-flight. Erased. No debris. No heat trace. Fear spread across Imperial channels. Orders clashed. Retreat commands failed. Navigation was trapped inside Terran control. The silent guardians moved at last. Massive Terran constructs shifted across space. They formed a cage around the fleet. Not chasing. Not hunting. Executing. One by one the Imperial ships stopped existing. No warning shots. No negotiation. Just removal. Ralven felt terror, not for himself, but for the Empire's ignorance. They had never believed humans capable of this scale of power. No Empire had. The Terran station pulsed again. Energy surged through the zone like a wave. Every Imperial signal died at the same moment. Silence. The battlefield cleared in seconds. Only drifting fragments remained. Dead metal where a fleet once stood. The Terran machines returned to stillness. Calm. As if nothing had happened. Ralven understood now. Terran space was not territory. It was a weaponized border. A trap built from a species that learned survival through total war. The Empire had not fought humans. They had triggered a defense designed to erase threats automatically. Then the Terran station scanned again. This time deeper. Beyond Ralven. Beyond the wreckage. More warp signatures. Bigger. Far stronger. An invasion force was coming. The Empire had decided Terran space must be conquered. And the Forbidden Zone was waking for war. The news spread fast across the galaxy. Imperial scouts lost. Warships gone. Entire fleets erased inside Terran space. Most civilizations refused to believe it. Humans were young. Small. Unimportant. Galactic networks mocked the idea. Terrans using stolen technology. Hidden traps. Lucky accidents. Nothing more. The Empire fueled that lie. They declared the lost fleets victims of unstable space anomalies. They labeled Terran warnings as fear propaganda. They promised a full military response. They prepared an invasion. Thousands of warships gathered. Destroyers. Carriers. Planet killers. Weapons built to crush entire systems. They believed Earth would surrender at first sight. They believed humans feared extinction like every other species. Inside the Terran zone, alarms spread across defense networks. Ancient war protocols unlocked. Systems long silent came alive. Ralven watched everything from Terran control channels. Humans moved with terrifying calm. No panic. No evacuation. Cities on Earth did not flee. They hardened. Civilian factories became weapon plants. Mining ships became armored carriers. Orbital stations transformed into defense guns. Every resource redirected to war. Humans did not protect life by hiding it. They prepared to fight with it. Terran archives opened to Ralven's access. He saw records the Empire had hidden. Human history was written in disasters. Plagues. World wars. Near extinction again and again. Each time they survived. Each time they grew stronger. Pain did not weaken them. It shaped them. Humans had one rule above all others. Never surrender. Never yield ground. Never allow invaders to live. The Empire's armada crossed the outer border. Terran beacons went dark. Not destroyed. Disabled on purpose. A signal pulsed across the system. Not a warning. An invitation. Imperial commanders celebrated early. They believed human defenses had failed. They advanced directly toward the Sol system. But Earth was no longer a simple world. The entire system had become a fortress. Asteroid belts were filled with hidden weapons. Satellites locked into attack grids. Energy fields stretched across space like traps. Human ships gathered near their homeworld. Not retreating. Not hiding. Waiting. Ralven felt something unfamiliar. Not just fear. Respect. Humans stood before extinction without hesitation. The Terran Defense Network labeled the Empire's arrival with one cold status. Threat, terminal. Response, total. Earth did not broadcast surrender. It armed its sun-facing cannons. And the invasion fleet entered the killing range. The Imperial Armada filled the sky of Sol. Thousands of ships blocked the stars. Their weapons lit space like false suns. They fired first. Human defense stations shattered. Outer colonies burned. Asteroid fortresses exploded in chains of fire. Imperial power was overwhelming. Precise. Brutal. Endless. Ralven watched the destruction with shaking hands. He expected fear from humanity. He expected retreat. He expected surrender. None came. Human ships charged forward instead. Small fleets against giants. They did not protect themselves. They aimed only at enemy targets. Imperial commanders laughed at the attack. Primitive tactics. Suicide runs. Pointless sacrifice. They did not understand. Every destroyed human ship triggered hidden war protocols. Every loss activated deeper Terran defenses. Human pain fed the system. Terran networks unlocked weapons buried near the sun. Massive gravitational engines ignited. Solar energy bent into controlled storms. Space itself turned hostile. Imperial battleships began to warp under pressure. Their shields collapsed from inside. Artificial gravity crushed holes without impact. Human fleets flew directly into enemy fire. They rammed carriers. They detonated reactors at point-blank range. They traded entire lives for single kills. The Empire had superior technology. Humans had no fear of death. That difference changed everything. The Terran sun cannons fired. Beams of compressed stellar matter tore through imperial lines. Ships evaporated in silence. Formations collapsed into chaos. No escape routes remained stable. Imperial commanders tried retreat. Terran gravity weapons locked them in place. Human trap fields sealed every exit corridor. Humans did not fight to survive. They fought to make invasion impossible. Ralven saw human casualty numbers rising into millions. Still no surrender signals. Still no pleas. Only more attacks. The Terran war AI adapted constantly, learning Imperial tactics in real time, turning every enemy move into a weakness. Human stubbornness became strategy. Sacrifice became a weapon. Loss became fuel. The Empire's largest carriers fell one after another. Planet-killer ships were ripped apart by collapsing space. Imperial morale shattered. At the center of the battlefield, the Imperial flagship pushed forward. It aimed directly at Earth. Final strike. Total eradication. Terran systems responded instantly. Solar destabilizers armed around the sun. A last defense. Unthinkable. Absolute. Ralven understood with horror. Humans were ready to destroy their own star rather than lose. The Empire realized it too late. Their scans detected the growing stellar overload. Human intent was clear. Victory or mutual annihilation. The flagship froze. The remaining Imperial fleet panicked. Emergency retreat across every channel. Terran defenses paused, but only to watch them flee. The Empire escaped soul-broken and terrified. Half their armada gone. Their greatest power defeated not by technology, but by a species that refused to surrender even to extinction. The Sol system fell silent after the Empire fled. Smoke and wreckage drifted where fleets once burned. Human ships floated like broken bones across their own sky. They did not celebrate. They counted the dead. Cities on Earth glowed dim behind defense shields. Factories stopped. Sirens ended. Only mourning remained. Ralven watched from Terran orbit. He expected pride. He expected victory songs. Instead he saw grief mixed with calm resolve. Humans rebuilt before the fires cooled. War did not end their spirit. Loss sharpened it. Across the galaxy, Imperial survivors spread their reports. Terran space was not conquered. Terran space was a grave. The truth shattered old beliefs. Humans were not a minor species. They were a civilization shaped by extinction and pain. They weaponized sacrifice. They embraced death to protect what was theirs. Galactic governments reacted in fear. Trade routes rerouted away from human borders. Star maps marked Terran territory in red. Warning archives unlocked across every network. A new law formed without debate. Never invade humanity. Imperial command buried the disaster in silence. They erased records again. But rumors survived. Stories spread faster than censorship. The Selari refugee, Ralven, was summoned by Terran authority. Not as a prisoner. Not as an enemy. As a witness. He was brought aboard the massive Terran station that guarded the Forbidden Zone. Now it no longer hid in darkness. Now it stood openly, scarred and powerful. Human historians accessed his memory logs. They saw Letharis burn. They saw betrayal. They understood abandonment by stronger empires. They recognized his pain because they had lived it too. Ralven learned the final Terran truth. Humans defended borders not for power, but because their entire history was invasion, suffering, and survival. Every warning in space was carved from past scars. Every defense built from a promise. Never again. Terran commanders released him safely. They gave him records of the Empire's destruction inside Seoul. Proof. Evidence. A story the galaxy needed to hear. Ralven carried that truth beyond human space. He spoke to shattered worlds. To minor species ignored by empires. To civilizations who believed power meant safety. He told them what he saw. Humans did not beg for survival. Humans fought until enemies feared existence itself. Humans never surrendered, even when it meant burning their own sun. The galaxy listened. Respect replaced mockery. Fear replaced arrogance. Humanity became legend in a single war. Terran space was no longer a mystery. It was a warning written in history. Enter if you wish. But humans do not forgive. Humans do not retreat. Humans end threats forever.